Hi there! Today's video is on the difference between pickling versus fermentation. So I'm going to share with you the difference between pickled and fermented foods, their preparation, and their health benefits. So let's not miss another beat and jump right into it. Okay, so let's start off with comparing the differences between pickling versus fermenting with how they're prepared. Pickled vegetables are prepared for long-term shelf stability at room temperature, whether that be in a pantry or on a grocery store shelf. They are prepared for this long-term shelf-stable storage through a process called canning, which is a high-heat sterilization process. And high-heat sterilization is also known as pasteurization. So the pasteurization kills all the bacteria, whether it be the good stuff, like the probiotics, or all the bad stuff. It kills everything, which is what's needed to ensure that your food doesn't spoil at room temperature being stored on the shelf for months to years. And they won't need any refrigeration until they're opened. Now let's look at fermentation on the other hand. Fermented vegetables on the other hand are not long-term shelf stable at room temperature. They do go through a fermenting process at room temperature for anywhere from 3 to 10 days. But after that 3 to 10 day window, they are placed in a refrigerator for long-term storage. So whether it be fermented vegetables or pickled vegetables, so long as they're each prepared properly in their own right, a fermented vegetable will be long-term refrigerator stable, while a pickled vegetable will be long-term shelf stable. Now let's look at the difference between the brine used in a pickled vegetable versus a fermented vegetable. This is also a key difference between the two. Now, brine is the liquid that the vegetable is being stored in. I suppose you could also call it the juice. However, it's not a natural juice. It is a human prepared juice in a specific way. And that brine is going to be different whether you're pickling or whether you're fermenting. So let's look at the difference between the two. With pickling, the brine is made of specific things: water, vinegar, and salt, and they're combined at a specific ratio. The pickling brine is first pasteurized, and then it's added to the jar of vegetables. Then after the lid is put on the jar, it goes through the canning process. For home canners, they may use a water bath or a pressure cooker to do this pasteurization process of complete sterilization. And the food industry will use their high-tech commercial equipment. But the result is the same: an ultra-pasteurized, completely sterilized, shelf-stable product. Now, during this high-heat pasteurization, a slight cooking of the vegetable will occur. Now, with fermentation, the brine is made of two things: water and salt, also prepared at a specific ratio. But there's no vinegar and no sugar. It's just the water and the salt. The brine is not heated nor pasteurized, and at a room temperature, it is then poured on top of the vegetable in the jar, and the vegetable remains raw. The saltwater brine encourages and benefits the lactobacteria, also known as the probiotics. It encourages them to grow and multiply. So with pickling, if everything is done right with the pasteurization, canning, and the brine, you're going to have a safe food to eat. And with fermentation, so long as everything is properly done, you're going to have a safe food as well. But as you can see, the preparation and the brine of each are very different from one another. Here's an example of two brands of the same vegetable, but one is pickled and one is fermented. Let me show you the difference. Woodstock pickles are found on the store shelf. Giveaway number one that these are pickled and not fermented is that they're found on the shelf, meaning they're long-term shelf stable. Now check out the ingredients: cucumbers, water, vinegar, and salt. Then added spices for flavor. Notice those are the ingredients for a pickling brine. Vinegar is the giveaway ingredient for pickled vegetables. Bubby's pickles are found in the grocery refrigerator. Giveaway number one that these are fermented is that they're found in the grocery refrigerator, meaning they are not shelf stable. Now let's look at their ingredients: cucumbers, water, salt. Then added spices for flavor. Notice the water and salt only are the ingredients for a fermenting brine. There is an absence of added vinegar to the brine for fermented vegetables. So now let's compare how the difference between pickling and fermented vegetables differ in their health benefits. Since pickled foods are pasteurized with high heat to kill all bacteria for safe, long-term shelf stability, there are no probiotics for gut health present in the canned pickled food. Fermented foods are not pasteurized and are prepared in a way that cultivate the proper bacteria, aka the probiotics. There are literally trillions of active probiotics for gut health per tablespoon of a fermented vegetable. And as we all know by now, it is the probiotics that aid a healthy gut microbiome. Most vitamins and polyphenols are heat sensitive. So with pickling, the vitamins and the polyphenols are killed off with the pasteurization process. Minerals, however, can take the heat, so at least the minerals will remain in the pickled vegetable. But essentially, the pickled shelf-stable food is a dead food. Now with fermented vegetables, the vegetable will remain raw, and there is no boiling or pasteurization of the brine or even the fermentation process. This means that the vitamins and the polyphenols and the minerals are all bioactive in a fermented food. However, not only are the vitamins, the polyphenols, and the minerals still bioactive in the food, the lactobacteria of fermentation, aka the probiotics, actually increase the bioavailability of the vitamins, the polyphenols, and the minerals. It's like if you went through a fast food line and your large drink or your large fry was supersized. That's what fermentation does to nutrients. It supersizes them. So fermented foods are not only tasty, but they are an alive food. And I just want to be clear, I am not dissing on pickled foods. In fact, last summer I pickled over 30 jars of my cucumbers because I love pickles. And I would say any day of the week, reach for that pickle instead of the potato chip. So I love clean food living and I enjoy the best of both worlds, the pickled and the fermenting. And you can too. Now I know it's so much easier to just get your fermented vegetable from the grocery store, but a jar of fermented, bioactive, live culture sauerkraut from the grocery store's refrigerator section can cost $8 to $12. And I know that can be really taxing on the budget. But that same jar of fermented sauerkraut can be made for pennies if you want to do it at home. Now, if you're a little intimidated by the fermenting process and you think that you need this fancy equipment, please allow me to put those thoughts to ease. You do not need fancy equipment to do home fermentation. All you need is a jar, some water, some salt, a vegetable, and the willingness to try. I have so many beginner-friendly fermentation videos on vegetables, from carrots to kale to cauliflower to mushrooms to sauerkraut, and they're all presented in a very beginner-friendly way with no fancy equipment. I've got a playlist on my channel with all of those types of videos. So if you want to see that fermentation playlist, check it out right here. I've got some other videos down here for you, and hit that subscribe button to be a part of my channel, Clean Food Living. I'd love to have you be a part of it with me. And until next time, I'll see you later. Bye-bye.